On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Halos hit 4 home runs in the span of 8 hitters, and they climbed to 500 on the road. A great offensive display deserves to be talked about by Mike and John, and we're going to do just that. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And today's show is brought to you by our Locked On Everydayers from PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use our promo code LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Fresh Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, I had to reference this tweet here. Let's see, let me find it. Drew Campini, I believe. He said that, you know you're an everydayer when you're looking forward to the podcast after that kind of game. And I love that attitude from Drew. That was fantastic. Listen, we are here Monday through Friday talking Angels baseball with you every single weekday. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to be the host of Locked On Angels. We're here 5 days a week for you all throughout the season. On today's show, let's talk about David Fletcher, baby, and his gambling problem, apparently. So and just how it ties back to the Angels. We'll get into that. And then the Halos sent out a survey to all season ticket holders. And I got to tell you, Mike, it was kind of embarrassing. We'll get into that one as well.
Yeah.
But we got to react to this game against the Astros. We have liftoff, baby. There were so many home runs in this game. Mike, does it call? Hold on. Let's see. Does it call for the gigantic, ridiculous, absolutely ginormous, giant A for a giant W hat? Is this that kind of game?
I think so. I'll take it. I love it. John, the Angels won last night 9-7, and this game started tough, and I was frustrated because my boy Reid Detmers has just lost it on the mound.
Can I, I gotta say, there was a period of time where Mike and we kind of signed on to Patrick Sandoval, and we signed on to Reid Detmers, respectively. I chose Sandoval, you chose Detmers. And I said, Sandoval's going to be good. And they've both had their ups and downs. And then this year started out with Detmers looking like an ace and Sandy looking like he needed to leave the place.
A base.
I felt like, I had to rhyme that somehow.
Yes.
And now the roles have reversed, Mike. Please, I'm holding you personally responsible for the performance of Reid Detmers. What's going on with this guy?
John, he went just 4 innings last night, 8 hits, 6 runs, and he left a lot of pitches up and in the zone. And he's been doing that his last 4 or 5 starts, and especially that changeup. He's leaving that changeup in the meat of the zone, 83 miles an hour, right down the middle. In fact, on the radio side, Mark Langston said that Detmers leaving pitches up and out in the middle of the zone has been his main issue. I know you and I talked a lot about the edges and him hitting the edges. We talked a lot about maybe teams figuring him out. But when you're leaving pitches in the middle of the zone, there's no solution to that except for stop it. That's the solution, right? And Reid just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again.
You know what I noticed too, Mike, is the home run he surrendered was a curveball down in the zone. But that is an issue of not controlling the eye level of the hitter. You saw a replay of what he did to Altuve in the first inning, getting him to strike out.
Yeah.
And then Altuve hit that one off of him on a fastball up.
Yep.
And he's not changing the eye level of the hitters. He is not working up and down the zone. I know that you're saying too many pitches up in the zone. That I totally agree with.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, even when he throws his curveball down in the zone, it's getting hit and sent for a ride for a home run.
Yeah.
Because he's not changing the eye level of the hitter.
Well, because of the struggles, John, the Halos were down 6-1. So now let's take a survey of our everydayers. How many of you turned off the game?
I went and did the dishes with the TV on in the background. And
I barbecued.
Exactly.
I went out and barbecued because I was like, okay, I can't sit and watch this. And that was by the 5th inning, John. And it was a really difficult start to this game. There was some conversation online about Detmers still having some options, minor league options. Do you think that there's a benefit him going down, working on things, or do you think he needs to figure it out? And if the benefit is Silseth comes up, or maybe Kenny Rosenberg comes up, what do you think the best solution here for Detmers is?
Silseth isn't ready yet, so he's still working his way back. But at this point, Mike, Barry Enright hasn't figured it out.
Right.
So it might be of a benefit to get him in front of some different coaches who can help him identify his issues. And maybe they feel comfortable at the major league level identifying what's wrong with Detmers. But the fact is, give me Davis Daniel, give me Kenny Rosenberg. I'll take those guys because they're doing really well right now. So give them a chance. We've brought up Davis just to sit on the bench like 3 times this season. So give the guy a chance, man. Good grief.
Yeah. So they're down 6-1, and then the top of the 5th happened, John. And the Angels did something that they haven't done since the dinosaurs were extinct. I mean, they just have not scored runs like this.
Well, they're still extinct, but I know what you're saying.
Well, thank you. Reid had a bad game, just thrown off. The Halos scored 7 runs in the top of the 5th, 4 homers in the span of 8 hitters, John. Why don't you share those details with us?
Off Framber Valdez as well, and he has not had that bad of an inning against the Halos since 2020, Mike. The first a home run came from Nolan Schanuel, who doesn't have enough power, doesn't hit the ball hard enough, can't do this, can't.
His swing's terrible.
Shut up. With 2 on, he hits his 5th of the year off.
His 5th, by the way,
and
just in May.
Off a lefty, which he's never done before at the major league level.
Yeah.
So that brought the Angels within 2. Then the second home run came later in the inning when Logan O'Hoppe had 2 on, and that was his 4th of the year. And did he watch that one? Did he admire that one?
Yes.
That was a beautiful sight.
He was pumped when he crossed home plate.
Right after that, Joe Adell goes back-to-back with Logan O'Hoppe with his 9th home run of the year. And then later on in the 6th inning, Zach Neto hits a solo shot, his 6th of the year. I'm giving Joaquin Neto, Papa Neto, credit for being there in person because he has had such a great win streak for the Angels this season. Mike, all the young stars came through in this one, and I mentioned it on Twitter, and they mentioned it on the broadcast, and I mentioned it in our post-game video. This is the first time in MLB history that an age 22, age 23, age 24, and age 25 player have all homered in the same game. And this was pointed out to us by several people on our Instagram at Super Halo Bros, if you haven't followed yet, that they're all first-round draft picks as well. They're all number 1 picks. So that's pretty exciting as well. Got to ask this question, though. Could this be a confidence boost and a turning point for this team? They're 3-1 against the West. What do you say?
Johnny, I think this is why you play 162 games and can't make a judgment after April, right? Or even in the middle of May. And the same thing specifically with Nolan Schanuel. Like, the guy is starting to hit. The guy can hit. And in last year wasn't a fluke, and he's figuring it out. And now he's hitting with a little bit of pop. And same thing with Zach Neto. He can hit. And I'm aligning with you on it perhaps would be smart to get rid of that leg kick. Because
I don't know. I've gone back and forth on it because he was doing just fine with it over the weekend. So
sure.
You know what? I don't think I'm going to make a judgment call on that anymore.
I just love that he's adjusting, and I love that he is hitting it was a high fastball that he crushed out. Mm-hmm. And this is why you have to give young guys a whole lot of time. Now, with the Angels, we've watched players over the years, Taylor Ward, Joe Adell being 2, that have taken forever to develop. And now they've become really good pieces for this team. And I think Joe Adell is becoming something pretty special for this team. And I think that he is on a trajectory of being somebody that we expected him to be in years past. He just was brought up way too soon, and he was brought up in kind of a weird time of season with COVID. And so I think that it could be a confidence boost. I would wait on the turning point. I just think that we have to continue to be patient with these players because I think more games like this are coming because these guys are good baseball players who are young and trying to figure out how to play baseball at the major league level.
Imagine if Detmers hadn't given the game away as quickly as he did. We would have had an entirely different conversation to start this segment.
Yeah.
And we would have felt a lot more comfortable with the other 4 starters out there who have really had a nice turnaround so far this season, especially somebody like Griffin Canning. His last 2 outings have been phenomenal, which is great. And then they were great against the Rangers in Arlington this weekend. Mike, the game went so well that Ron Washington decided to put in Jose Suarez with a 3-run lead. And we all went, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill me?
Yeah.
But then Jose Suarez pitched 2 scoreless innings. He walked the first batter, got a double play after that, and then was able to get through 2 scoreless innings. And I ran a little survey, Mike, on Twitter at Locked On Angels. If you're not following there, look at me with the social media plugs. And I said, say nice things about Jose Suarez, because as we all know, last year, there came a point where with Aaron Loop, we started saying nice things about Aaron Loop, and I would shout it. And I thought, you know what? Is it time? And everydayers on Twitter said, no, it's not.
It's not time.
56% said no, 44% said yes. So we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're
Johnny,
there.
what was impressive about his outing last night was that he was quick and he was efficient. He didn't waste many pitches. He got through 2 innings and did what he is supposed to do. And that was beautiful. And I was grateful to see that, because it looks like he went out there with some confidence, especially against this Astros lineup, who were jumping on every first pitch, but they were throwing some good pitches to be able to keep them off balance.
That was followed up by Adam Simber and Hunter Strickland with scoreless innings. And then Carlos Estevez enters the bottom of the 9th. And the first batter he faces hits a would-be home run, if not for Joe Adell robbing that home run. I thought it was going to be off the wall, and I looked at it again. I went, ooh, that was going out.
Yeah.
And Joe Adell hit a home run and saved and robbed a home run in this game, saving Estevez's butt again. Joe Adell's defense really has improved over the last few weeks. Estevez gave up a hard single to the second hitter. Altuve grounded into a fielder's choice. Tucker then gets an RBI single to make it a 2-run game. Then he walks Alvarez, and then Estevez got Bregman to fly out for the final out. And man, the people in Houston were making it more difficult on Estevez because it was loud in that last inning. And then there was a weird thing where I think it was Mauricio Dubon took third, and Estevez thought there was a pitch clock violation on Bregman. And so it was just a mess. And I think I have 1,000 more gray hairs because of Carlos Estevez. But the good news is, Mike, Angels are 19-29. They're 13-13 on the road. Hey, they're 500 somewhere. And you know where they have a winning record? Against the AL West. They're 3-1 against the West. So that's good news. Now, the bad news is they come home this weekend, and they are not very good at home. We want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen every single day. The Angels are back at it tonight against the Astros, 5:10 Pacific time. Griffin Canning versus Christian Javier on the mound. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, former Angel David Fletcher is in a little bit of hot water, and we're going to talk about it coming right up.
Everydayers, this is for you, especially if you're a salesperson or you're working in sales. LinkedIn has something for you. It's called the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and it's going to help you level up as a salesperson. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligent platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers. Johnny, I know all this AI conversations. There's some people, some old heads that might be like, oh, I don't know. I've kind of been in the middle. I've been neutral on a lot of that stuff, but I've been surrounded by some young heads who have given me some good direction. And I'll tell you, it actually is very beneficial. And that's why I would really recommend those people who are salespeople to use the LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Look, I just need a general navigator in my life. So for LinkedIn to provide a sales navigator, let's go.
LinkedIn Sales Navigator helps you to target the right buyers, be aware of key signals like job changes or which accounts you should prioritize. It also shows you hidden allies so that you can find those buyers who are most likely to convert, because that's what you want. You want to win people over and get the product that's really good that you're selling in their hands, and LinkedIn can help you do that. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the right people, the people that matter. So right now, they're going to hook you up. You can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at LinkedIn.com/lockedon. That's LinkedIn.com/lockedon. Free 60-day trial. You can try it out, see if it works for you. I guarantee you that it'll work for you. LinkedIn is here to help you. Let that Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar. Go to LinkedIn.com/lockedon to get started.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. It's time to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed just for you, our everydayers, to bring you the biggest stories across the sports world, from expert analysis, opinions, and news. It's can't miss, Michael, and it's streaming 24/7 on YouTube and on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, so no excuses. It's there for you 24/7. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And speaking of your team every day, the Angels are back at it against the Astros, H-Town, 5:10 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. You know me, when I get on one, I get on one.
Johnny, David Fletcher was in the news this weekend. I know. Reports came out this weekend that Fletch, who obviously is a former Angel and current Dodger, although every headline said former Angel, or current, I didn't say Dodger, current Brave, sorry. But I loved that.
Careful, Michael. You're going to get all the comments.
I know.
And then I got to answer them all.
What Johnny is talking about is anytime and obviously this is connected to Ohtani, anytime we talk about Ohtani, it's like a bat signal. And people from all over the world, they hear about it. And if you say anything that would be skewed as negative towards Ohtani, they go after you. They go after your character. They go after your family.
They go after your kids.
So we're going to be careful with Ohtani's name here. But Fletch apparently was a part of this betting scandal. He bet on sports with that bookmaker.
Yes.
The same guy that Ippei was working with, and now Ippei is pleading guilty, and it's just a mess, right?
Yeah.
So Fletcher was Ohtani's teammate from 2018 to 2023, and according to reports, and we've seen this in news and we've seen this on the field, they're pretty close friends. But to be clear, Fletcher, he bet on several sports, according to reports, but not on baseball. And that's really important because MLB players and employees are allowed to bet on sports other than baseball, but Johnny, not with illegal bookmakers.
Right.
And
not
so
with the guys that are going to break your ankles if you can't pay up, right?
They've got a thumb jar? The league rule book states that players betting with illegal bookmakers are subject to punishment by the commissioner's discretion, unless they're with, the New York Yankees and then they get away with it. But a player who bets on baseball in which he did not participate can be banned for a year. If you bet on your own games, you're banned permanently. And Fletch is involved in all of this. And according to ESPN in March, he said he met Bauer, that's the illegal bookmaker, once before while playing golf, and that he knew Bauer was a bookmaker at the time of his poker game. He said he's never placed a bet himself with Bauer's organization. Now, reports are saying differently. MLB declined to comment, but there was a source that said that Fletcher wasn't investigated, but now is expected to be investigated. And then Fletch didn't respond to multiple requests for comment. Neither did the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California or the Braves. So nobody's talking about this.
Nope.
Johnny, what do you make of this? I mean, there's layers to this, right? A lot of layers when it comes to the Angels organization, a lot of layers to having Ohtani's name in this mess, a lot of layers to all of this. Give me your thoughts.
You know what? There's a lot of layers, Mike, just like an onion. And you know what onions are? Stinky.
Yes.
And it stinks. This whole thing stinks. Here's what I make of this. We know that David Fletcher is a pretty prolific poker player. He's even done charity events as a poker player. And that seems to be where Ippei was introduced to the bookie, was at a poker game. Now, the fact that Fletcher bet with this guy makes it illegal. He didn't bet on baseball, but he shouldn't have been betting with this bookie because that was illegal and is illegal in California. That's why there are betting alternatives out there. That's why there are fantasy games out there, because it's a safe and responsible way, as opposed to going through, again, somebody who owns a thumb jar, like you mentioned. But then, yes, there are layers to this because he introduced Ippei. Ippei got involved with this guy. He stole money from Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani didn't know about it. That was a wink for the audio side. And it's just all very, very ridiculous. But the most ridiculous thing, and I'm going to take it to this level, Mike, because this is where yet another scandal is in the orbit, pun intended, because we just played the Astros, in the orbit of the Angels organization. This is, by my count, the fifth scandal under the watchful eye of Sauron, Arte Moreno, and John, what else is on Carpino? Maybe that's why they didn't know, because Carpino was watching other sports instead of his own team.
Right.
But here's what drives me absolutely insane, Mike. You've got a drug scandal in your organization. A player died because of this drug scandal. You've got Bubba, who made the sticky stuff for the other teams. That became a scandal. You've got minor leaguers sharing rooms, 6 to a room, in terrible living conditions, speaking out to ESPN about it. And now we've got some sort of betting ring going on. And the funny part is anytime you broach the subject about something going on, and yes, it tangibly touches Ohtani because it was his interpreter who was involved. There was all these commenters coming out of the woodwork and, oh, it's just another scandal for the Angels, and thinking that's going to hurt my feelings.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? Bring it on.
Yeah.
Investigate. FBI, do everything that you can. Oh, I failed to mention the bribery scandal with the former mayor of Anaheim saying, I'll sell you the stadium if you donate a little $1 million to my campaign. And that's another scandal, Mike. And so it's just absolutely ridiculous that all of this can take place under Arte Moreno and John Carpino. Absolutely ridiculous. So if there's an investigation and it gets back to those bozos and they are required to sell the team, then I am all for it. Let me give you an example. Do you remember a couple of years ago when the scandal came out about Ellen and the treatment of her staff on the Ellen show and whatnot, and everybody had something to say something about it? Well, I worked there for 4 years. I worked at the Ellen DeGeneres show. And in my perspective, yes, there were some things that took place that were not great and there were mistreatment. But the problem is that a lot of people tried to pin it on Ellen when, to be honest with you, she showed up, she did her job, and she went home. And the people who caused the issues were all people that, reported to her. Yeah. I bring this up because while she was not the one making people feel bad or doing these things or doing things that were not appropriate for the workplace, it's still her name on the show, Mike.
Yeah.
It's still the Ellen DeGeneres show. And so she has to be held accountable for that.
Right.
And so in the same vein, you can't just Artie can't play dumb. Oh, I didn't know about this. I didn't know what was going on. Like, your name is on the bottom of the checks.
Yep.
Arte Moreno signs the checks. John Carpino probably also signs the checks, right? And so these guys have to take responsibility for what's going on in their organization. I don't care if it was one player. I don't care if it was Fletcher and the interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. I don't care. It's still happening under your watch. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And I hope MLB investigates. I hope they find something, even if it comes at the cost of, Mike Trout also knew about this or was betting. Like, you know what? Bring it on, because I'm ready for this whole thing to crumble so that we can finally get new ownership.
Yeah. And so that's what happened this weekend with David Fletcher.
Yeah, just casual conversations.
Stuff. It's the stuff that happens with the Angels all the time. And I'm with you. It's time for some sort of accountability, not just for the players, but some sort of accountability for this organization, because it just seems like new scandals rise up every single year.
You know what? That's good enough to make me switch hats back to that's not a big A for a big dub for a big A. So I'm switching hats back.
All right, everydayers. And Johnny, I needed your help. I'd love to get your wisdom on something. PrizePicks is one of my favorite apps. In fact, it's the largest daily fantasy platform in North America. And what's great about PrizePicks, it's super easy to use. You can pick 2 to 6 players and decide if they're going to perform more than the projected stat or less than the projected stat. So, Johnny, here's what I did yesterday. And I did demon picks, which they
Michael.
You if you get it right, you win more, which is great. So Francisco Lindor was the first on there, and his stat was 0.5 home runs. So you would select either he doesn't hit a home run or he does hit a home run. And so I said no on that one. Mm-hmm. And what would you say? What would you say on that one?
I would have said no as well. It was his big return to Cleveland, and the emotions are running high. How'd we do? Well, let me look it up here. I've got Lindor, and he had 4 at-bats with a strikeout, no walks, no hits, no home run, Michael.
All right. Ding, ding, all right. Ding. I love that. There was also some other players on there. JD Martinez, I did pick to hit a home run. Marcell Ozuna, I picked not to hit a home run. And Matt Olson, I picked not to hit a home run. And so I'm going to check my stats as soon as we're done with the show, Johnny. If you're an everydayer, you can check it right now. But you can download the PrizePick app today. And then when you do, enter our promo code like I did, because we get to use our own promo codes, which is great. Locked On MLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's promo code Locked On MLB. It's all one word, all lowercase, for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks is so fun, and you should join today. Pick more. Pick less. Johnny, it's that easy.
Mike, the Angels sent out a fan survey to season ticket holders.
Yeah.
And you know what that tells me? They're getting a little concerned, a little desperate, a little worried about the attendance this season. And rightfully so, because the attendance, the last time I checked, was down about 12.5% year over year.
Yeah.
And they are sitting about 15th, right in the middle in terms of top attendance in the league, where previously, Mike, they have been a top 5 team, a top 10 team. Now they're sitting right there in the middle in a really big market. I had to give credit to, I was listening to Sam Blum's podcast the other day, and he said, if the Angels put out a good product on the field, Anaheim fans will show up.
Yeah.
And that just spoke to my fan heart, because I remember the days when we had a good product on the field.
Right.
And I wanted to be at every single game that I could possibly get to. And I'm sure people living around the area feel exactly the same way. So they sent out this questionnaire to their season ticket holders. And, this is a normal thing that season ticket holders would receive, but the questions are what make this interesting. Mike, can I read through the questions here?
Yeah.
And maybe you can give me, if you were a season ticket holder, I know you're not, because you're not that close to the stadium.
Right.
But you do go.
I did in the past. I did have season tickets in the past.
Nice. So this is what I love. And this will give you some insight into how the ownership is sweating this season. So the through line of all of these questions is, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statements? Now, there's strongly agree and all the way down to strongly disagree. The Angels are headed in the right direction on the field. Mike, how would you answer that?
I'd say strongly disagree.
Yeah. How about the Angels have a positive influence in the local community?
Strongly disagree. Well, actually, I strongly agree with the betting community, but strongly disagree with the local community, right?
I feel like I do see the guys going to schools and going to library visits and things like that. So credit to the players.
I think the players are doing great. I'm just looking at the organization as a whole and saying you don't, because of the scandals that you mentioned in the previous segment.
Yes. The Angels care about their season seat holders.
I disagree, because they haven't filled a team that I think would be a competitive team.
And how about this one, Mike? I'm excited about the players in the Angels minor league system.
I mean, can you name more than 3 if you're just a regular season ticket holder, right? Obviously, we do this show, so we would know more than 3. But the truth is that the minor league system hasn't been great. And one of the reasons why is because they're all on the major league roster, because they haven't filled the roster with major league players. And we're thankful for those guys, don't get me wrong, but it's interesting that they're sending out these questions.
Now, in our notes here, you said, do you think they pay attention to the answers? And to be honest with you, Mike, I think they do.
Okay.
Because I have seen a number of season seat holders over the last few years, especially in this offseason, say, I'm not renewing.
Yeah.
I'm not giving them more of my money. And, even people as far as saying, I'm not giving Arte Moreno any more of my money. And so in response to that, he rolls back the payroll. And that's been my bugaboo about I'm not going to games. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. He's just going to cut back salary.
Right.
He's just going to cut back payroll, and it's going to affect the staff and the workers. It's more than just the players on the field. And so that's been my hang up about that whole conversation. But that's neither here nor there. What really matters here is these are the guys and gals and people who usually are supplementing the revenue that comes in year after year. And I'm not saying this is the fault of season seat holders at all. I'm saying these are the people that want to be there and are willing to spend money on season seats to be there. And they're reaching out to them with those 4 questions. I think they're really paying attention to this, don't you?
Well, and it's interesting because the graphic that I pulled was actually to a season seat holder who doesn't have season seats this year. They let them go, but they still got an email because they're still on the email list. And so it's interesting that they're sending it out to those that hold seats and also those that previously held seats, at least within the last year, to ask them questions. And quite honestly, John, if you're a season ticket holder and you're an everydayer here, we'd love to hear from you, and maybe you can answer those questions as well. But this is a great opportunity to express how you're feeling, maybe your displeasure with the organization, because these are the places where you can really make an impact and really let them know what you're thinking and what you're feeling. I know that people are like, hey, don't go to games, or maybe sell the team shirts and all that stuff. I think that that's just white noise to the organization. If you hit them in the bottom line and let them know that you're a bit frustrated, perhaps that will communicate what we're hoping to communicate. Hey, it's time to make this team competitive and not just flip a coin and say, yeah, let's go sign that guy or let's get that guy. And it's time to deal with the nonsense that's happened in this organization as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A whole lot of nonsense, Michael. And here's the thing. I think that they're really going to pay attention to these because you and I have talked about it many times on the show. And as much as the Angels ownership brass will deny, we know these comments and these fan sentiments and the online comments, they get to Arte.
Yep.
They get to, I don't know if they get to Carpino. We definitely know that they get to Arte Moreno and they pay attention to stuff like this. Look, I talked about all my frustrations in the last segment and how all of this stuff has happened under their watch. And I'm confident, and we've been told, and we have reason to be confident, that they're paying attention to that kind of stuff. And so we'll continue to use our platform to voice our displeasure, because you know what? I've said it in passing before, Mike, but I'm really going to hammer it home right now. You and I were fans before Arte Moreno, and we'll be fans after Arte Moreno. And I'm sure a lot of our everydayers feel the same way. This is our team. It's always been our team. This last 15 years have sucked, and it's frustrating, but this will always be our team, and no owner is going to hold it hostage forever. We were here before, and we'll be here after.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels do play the Astros today, 5:10 Pacific time, and you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels. And now, something new for you everydayers. After every game, Angel fans can get the immediate highlights and post-game thoughts on a new postcast hosted by our friend Gavin Carlson on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. So you need to subscribe to that. This postcast will be right after the conclusion of each Angel game. Now, don't worry. John and I will continue to have immediate reactions with our shorts on social media and on YouTube. And we're still going to be here Monday through Friday for all things Angels. And we'll highlight and recap and do all of that. But right after the game, this new Angel postcast show with our friend Gavin Carlson on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel will be the best place to go right after the game ends.
And the best part is that once they're back in season, Gavin's going to be covering the UCLA Bruins, the Lakers, and all sorts of LA teams in addition to our Angels. So you can look forward to postcasts for a lot of the teams that you like from Gavin. And we're really excited. Starting tonight, right after the game, Gavin Carlson, Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel for the new Angels postcast show. Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and connect with Mike and I at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
John, the Angels coaches had the Angels starters do something unique in order to help them get better. And we're going to talk about what they did tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Looking forward to that conversation. You're going to be shocked, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear what the Angels did to make this happen. All right, until Wednesday's show, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
Didn't help for Reid Detmers, apparently. And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
Let's go Wednesday. How about 3-1 against the West?
Right? Wild, wild West, baby.
I love this.